There we go. I should have sound now. Great. Sorry about that. So does that line up properly? I have to always check that. I've had issues with that in the past. Well, basically, it looks as if the war drums, at least for right now, are not as loud. if, if you can believe that, it does look like the Nasdaq rallied strongly today, and we had some very very nice rally. Now I want to caution you because some of the strongest rallies occur in a downward trending market, and we're not really out of the woods yet. We're still in a uptrend under pressure, so we've got to be careful here when it comes to the direction of the market. We've got to be very cognizant of the fact that the market direction is still very tenuous. We did have a very, very nice uptrend today, though, so definitely something to look at. One of the things that really stood out is the rally on Nvidia. Nvidia is going to be a reporting tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a great report. That's my guess. But we got to be careful in this kind of market because the uptrend is still under pressure. So this is something that we have to be really really cognizant of. The market trend is still under pressure, so we have to be careful here. We don't really, I'm trying to ease into the market. I did buy some more Google yesterday, and it's up nicely today. But we've got to be really careful in this market. The Dow was up about 1.16%, which is great. S&P looking good too at up about 1.39%. The NASDAQ though is really the star, up 2%. Now the Russell is also up, and that's the small cap index, and that's looking pretty decent. So maybe we're going to see a turn here. Who knows? But it's definitely looking a lot better than than it was just a few days ago. So we shall see. Hopefully, hopefully we have a nice. We tend to move nicely here from here on out. Just wanted to kind of show you the NASDAQ composite. That's really, that's really the key. The key index, at least for us, is allowed. So gosh, it's not gonna let me. Come on, baby. I'm getting issues with this. I tell you, there is so many. I just want to allow everything. Come on, baby. All right. So hopefully we're going to let this is going to let us share out the screen here. I'm having share. I've got to these controls that are just nuts. So let's see. Hopefully that will allow us. Okay, we're going to go to allow. There we go. Okay, there we go. Finally getting the screen up here for the NASDAQ. And we did have a nice bounce up here. We're still below the 21-day moving average, but hopefully we're starting to see a movement back up. One of the things that, and the reason we're still in this, market trend under pressure, we're still below that very, very critical level, which is the 200-day moving average. We're still below that on the NASDAQ. So that is kind of an issue here. Let's go over to the Dow and take a look at that. That's a little bit different. This is the Dow Jones, and this, of course, is smaller. It's still in a downward trend. So, and we're definitely below the 200-day moving average here too. So, basically, it's a very tough market to trade right now. It's just kind of all over the place, and just a difficult market to trade. Today, I'd like to talk about some travel stocks because it does look like with the reopening in the market, I'm hoping there's a COVID reopening after 2 years. At least somebody thinks that the travel stocks are looking really, really good. So I kind of wanted to analyze about 5 stocks here, just to kind of put on your list to see, kind of what there is to see. And the first one, of course, is the stock that everybody knows, and of course that's Expedia. This is the one that it's a little bit. This is a little bit extended right now, so that is kind of an issue here. But I want to kind of go through it and take a look to see if we could find something here that will work. Basically, there's this. It has come out of this sort of base. If we look here, this is about kind of where it's above about 191 is where it's really started to take off. Now it's at 213, so it's a little bit extended. I probably wouldn't buy it at this level, but I just want to put it at your attention. I don't own this one, but it's acting very, very nicely. On the pattern recognition, it's a little bit extended. It's 14% above the pivot, which was back 36 days ago, with a cup with handle, which is an excellent an excellent pattern. I wouldn't recommend necessarily Expedia just because of the situation where it is. It's a little bit extended, but there's other ones in the group that might make sense, and one of them is Bookings.com. That is right below a buy point. Now this is a little bit different. This has got hotels and car rentals and kind of a competitor with Expedia, looking very, very good. It's an expensive stock, I'll be honest with you. 26.35. This is essentially where Google is, but earnings are in 8 days. It's looking pretty strong. The technicals are good, 89% on this one. This is one you might want to put on your radar screen. I'm not necessarily, you don't necessarily want to buy this one, but this one may be a good options play in the future. But the real one I think that everyone needs to we need to talk about is Airbnb. I think it is coming back to life. Now, it has been dead for a while. Airbnb has been dead for a while. As you can see, I bought a full position way back here, but I got stopped out basically when it hit 212 and then pulled back. I was stopped out of my position. Now I'm getting a little bit more inspired with it now that it's come up above the 200-day line, and it is above the 40-day line. So it's starting to show some real strength. Earnings are basically today. We're going to see how this one plays out. It's looking very good. It looks like it had a very nice earnings report. It's up into the after hours. This is the one I think you want to look at, possibly for tomorrow, to see how this one moves. This could be a potential buy here, because this would be buying it off of a reversal. I'm going to draw that reversal line here. So we've definitely gone to an upward trend on this line, okay, and we've gone to an upward trend, and it is looking very good. The checklist is a little bit weak at 56. Normally don't like to buy them down this low, but there's a lot of institutions that seem to be interested in this particular area. This is going to benefit from a reopening trade. As you can see, the number of funds that are moving into this is significant. This is the reason I'm so interested in it, is because of this number of funds. There's also several other ones that I think are worth mentioning. One of them is Make My Trip. I don't know much about this one, but let's take a look at the chart on it anyways and see. This is called Make My Trip. It is just above the 200-day line. Probably not a good buy based on the fact that we have a death cross, which is essentially the 40-day moving below the 200-day. So I probably would not be as interested in Make My Trip, but it's definitely in the group. Relative strength is relatively weak, so we don't want to necessarily do that. And the last one on the list is Travago, and this one is interesting. This is a cheap stock. It's essentially a German company, but they have good share. And normally I am very much against stocks that are in this price range, but and below the 200-day. This is not really where I like to buy them, but I think Travago may be a winner in the future. Again, the weak checklist, but I do like the fact that this one is starting to move. Now, I don't own this one, do not recommend this one, but it has it has a very good, it's starting to set up very, very nicely. Probably the best of the breed is going to be Expedia. Unfortunately, Expedia is a little bit extended, is a little bit extended here, so I can't really buy this here. But this is sort of the list of stocks that that have set up in the travel area. Of these stocks, I think your best bet is going to be Airbnb. It's looking very strong. They had earnings. They look very good, and it looks like it is going to continue this upward trend. It's up almost 4% after hours. So this is one you might want to take a look at. I do think there are going to be a lot of people piling into this one. I don't own it, but I just kind of want to put it out there on the radar screen for everyone else. Also, in the travel and leisure area, you might want to look at Marriott MAR, which announced earnings today too. They've done very well. Off a little bit after hours, a little bit more establishment type stock, Marriott. But this is also in the travel group, is a good one. So that kind of gives you a rundown of some of the ones that are in the travel group that you might be interested in looking more at. I just wanted to look also at Nvidia. Nvidia, basically excellent earnings, it looks like. I'm going to pull over to the live chart for Nvidia. I was trying to put together a spread trade on this one. Was not able really to put it all together in time. The options really were a little bit too much for me in terms of price. So with this one, I just I just kind of let it ride. But this one could be very good. It's up in after hours, very nicely, and it looks like. Let's see if they put up their earnings yet. I don't know if they have, but I was expecting a good report on this one. It looks like it is going to be pretty darn good. The checklist on this one, of course, 78%, very, very good. The only thing it's off is it's a little bit down from its all-time high, and the accumulation rating is not as high as we would like to see it, mainly because many of the funds are already in this stock. Just looking, this is a long-term leader. I mean, look at these numbers. They're very, very strong. The October numbers up 50% in terms of sales, up 60% in terms of profits. Wow, that is amazing when it comes to it. So Nvidia, I think it may have turned the corner. I think it's bouncing off the 200, the 200-day line right here. So I do think that even though it is not totally, wouldn't be the correct buy point. It is reversed above this line. It is starting to move up, and I think it could be very, very strong. It says, oh, I'm sorry, earnings in 1 day. Excuse me. I guess they're due tomorrow. I was expecting them tomorrow. So we probably don't want to do anything until after earnings, but it does look like in the last few earnings reports on this one, it has been very strong for Nvidia. And this kind of gives you just a look-see in terms of the live chart on this. Earnings are basically in 1 day, but it has reversed north of this line. So that indeed is looking good as well. Let's see. I think I have a few more things here. This is one I did buy today. Of course, everybody's heard of it. It's AMD, and it moved nicely today. It moved nicely today. Probably not as good as with as with Nvidia, but still, it's not pretty nice. It was up 6.3%, with an 83% increase in volume, and that's key. So not only is it up heavily on price, but it's heavily on volume. So it does look like we're finally starting to move back, and hopefully we're going to reverse higher with this one. The numbers are, looking fairly good. I mean, let's look at some of the fundamentals, but I think the fundamentals have come in very, very nicely. Their December quarter, that was the last quarter that they reported, basically 2 months ago, up 49%. So anytime you have a stock that's growing more than 50%, more than 20% a quarter, that is a tremendous stock. If you can see, and this is definitely the case here, 93, 99, 54, 59. So this is a very strongly growing stock. Also, look at those profits, very nice profits as well. So the question is, can we buy it at this level? I started to nibble at this level And I do think that, this is not a bad place to be buying AMD. All right, let's look at Google, because I did buy some Google yesterday. We're off a little bit after hours, but we're up about almost 1.79%. Now, the reason that I have extreme interest in Alphabet, of course, is because of that split that's going to happen. If you are a owner of record, by July 1st, you will get 20 shares for every one that you own. So you'll get a dividend, a 19-share dividend. Of course, that will reduce the price. Currently, it's $27.30 is where it's trading after hours. Do like this one as well. I've been bulking up on this one. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but it does look like it has bounced off of that 200-day line. So hopefully it's headed north and hopefully above the 40-day line. I've been buying a little bit aggressively, probably a little bit too early, but when you want to get the good price, you got to take a little bit of risk. So that hopefully is the case. Here are my current holdings. Basically, Williams Group, I'm down just a tad, not a lot. Not a lot of volume on this one either. Of course, this is the pipeline company. This is the LNG pipeline company. The oils got slammed a little bit today because of the peace potential news from, potentially on the peace news. So we'll see. Google was up today, not so much on the volume, down on the volume, just not a whole lot, about a little less than 1% in terms of change on price, up about 21 bucks. Matador, of course, we're down a little bit. This one has been sort of a disappointment. I'm hoping to see some strength here. LNG, this is down, but I still like the stock. Of course, it's the liquefied natural gas play. And the thing about that one is that who knows what's going to happen, but hopefully, I think that will move higher, because I do think the demand for liquefied natural gas is growing, even with the pipeline from Russia. Nutrigen, of course, this is a fertilizer company. And part of the reason this one is going up is because natural gas prices are going up. And of course, probably the major component of natural gas, believe it or not, of fertilizer, believe it or not, is natural gas. It's a very interesting process. But when natural gas goes up in price, so does the cost of fertilizer. And that's one of the things that is driving inflation, of course, is that. AMD, of course, I did put that one on today. We're up very nicely in this one. Not only are we up in terms of price, but we're up in terms of volume, and that's looking good as well. So wanted to show you the market volatility yesterday. The last 2 days we've been having extreme volatility. It's abated a little bit. Hopefully, hopefully it's not quite as volatile, but the market is still very, very volatile. And that is why, we have to be very careful with our stops right now. It's just a tough market to trade all around. Yeah, and this was the stock of the day for yesterday. Now it's Boyd Gaming. The reason why this one is interesting is because this is also part of that reopening trade kind of thing. Today it was essentially up as well, and if we look at the kind of the chart on Boyd Gaming, this is in a buy zone. It's just at the top of the buy zone. I think that this one will do well. Due to the reopening trade. Boyd Gaming does not have a lot of China exposure. That is a very good thing, and does have extremely strong checklist at 89. The only thing it's missing on, of course, is the earnings per share, and that's really been down, not really because of the company, but because of the COVID thing. On the fundamentals for Boyd, we're very strong here too. We're up 38%, 29%. So we have a very good trend going here. Again, any stock that's going to move up 20% in sales every quarter, that's one you want to look at. Definitely, that's the case here with Boyd Gaming, looking very, very good as well. Strong cash flow, low PE ratio. The PE ratio is only 13 on this one, and right now in this market, people are looking for earnings. This definitely has earnings. It's not a tech, but it's acting very, very well. So without further ado, thank you for bearing with me for all those things. Let's go to some of the questions from Jay. Software, can it hit 310? This is a question on Microsoft, Mr. Softy, as they call it. This has been a great, in 2017, This was my absolute best stock. I bought it after basically not buying it, not owning it since, believe it or not, 1999. I started buying it when it exceeded its all-time high. By the way, that's a very interesting point, and I want to point out is that stocks, when they exceed their all-time high, that's a time that you definitely want to be interested in them. Part of the checklist that we use is the stock within 15% of its all-time high? And this is it's absolutely amazing. But and the reason this works is, take for instance a stock like AT&T. Well, it's half of what it was in 2000, if you can believe that. So really don't want to buy that stock until it can exceed its all-time high. With Microsoft, it exceeds its all-time high way back in 2017, but it hadn't had that since 2000. This is a chart here, and it doesn't actually go all the way back, but there we go. And for a long time, as great a stock as Microsoft was, whoops, you can see it didn't exceed really until it came into the 2017 time frame. Didn't exceed it, but look at after it moved higher than its all-time high, Microsoft just went on a tear upwards. So the question is it going to move up to 310? Well, it does look like we have a reversal at the 200-day line. It came down, it's in a consolidation, and the consolidation goes all the way up to 349 and down. So it has definitely bottomed basically at about 276 here, come up, and then it's pulled back a little bit, and it does look like it's getting some support at the 200-day line. Now, why are these lines so important? I keep talking about all these index lines. You would think that, they were just, something is going on here. The reason index lines are so important is because the market is traded by 70% of all the volume on the exchanges are traded by these algorithmic traders, and they key off of these very important index lines. So that's why they're so important. Right now with Microsoft, we are still, kind of very early in its upward trend. We're basically only 1.38% above the 200-day line. So we really, technically, if you're looking to get into Microsoft, I think I would probably wait. And the reason I would is because we still haven't moved to an uptrend on Microsoft. We're still below this reversal line, basically going from its high up here to this intermediate high. So basically, we're still below that reversal line. You see, and you can see this. I bought here as I thought it was going to move beyond this reversal line. I didn't wait long enough. You see, and I didn't let it move above that, and then boom, I was punished because it pulled back. That's why we want to wait probably on Microsoft to buy it. If you're not in the stock already, you probably want to see it move above about 309 before you buy it. Currently, it's at 299. It's been pulling back. So there's definitely resistance on this line, and you definitely want to be careful with buying it. So right now, I would kind of wait till it confirms above about 309 for Microsoft. All right, let's take a question from the TikTok. Thank you for holding through all of this stuff. Let's see. Okay. Okay. How about Hood? Robinhood. This is one of the ones that I was looking to short. Let's see if it's still shortable. I don't think it is now because it's so obvious, and then it's been so weak. This may be an acquisition for some other company. It's got an awful lot of people that are members of Robinhood, but as you can see, it's just been unfortunate. Has a relative strength of 3, and unfortunately, in stocks, that means that 97% of all the stocks currently in the market are doing better than Robinhood's. So right now, do you want to own Robinhood? I would say no. I would say no. So I would say, no, no to Hood. So I probably would not be a buyer of Hood. Well, I know I wouldn't be a buyer of Hood because it's just not looking good with the Hood. Right there with my rhyming. The checklist is 38. That's dreadful. The pattern recognition also probably equally bad. I'm going to see there's a little bit of slowness in my internet connection here, but I am almost positive that that's a very bad that's a very, very bad score there. So would I be moving into hood? No, I would be moving out of the hood, moving on up to the east side. So no to hood. I don't think it's going to work, unfortunately, very, very well. All right, let's take a look at Tesla, one of my favorite stocks. I am currently not in Tesla, though, because I do think it's going through a basing period, and that means really that it hasn't completed its entire move. It came out of this base. I mean, the last really great buy point on this was at 900, and that was way back, basically, basically back in November. Is really the last time that you could buy it. It broke out, it moved up, double bottom. It had another buy point at 1208, and it retreated from that. And it looks like it is getting some support at the 200-day line. But let's see. This is probably not a good time to buy it. I do think long term this is a great stock. It's a tremendous stock, but it is right back where we started, essentially round tripped. It went from 900 here, which was the buy point, up, and then now it's giving it all back to 900. So really, until it can move decisively above 900, I think above about 980 and close above that on volume, which it has not done, then I think you consider buying it. But I don't think so right now. I don't think it's as good a time to buy it right now. I just don't think it's a good time to buy it. All right, let's look at Roblox. Roblox, I was trying to put together a spread on this one, an options trade. RBLX. I've been in and out of this several times, and I did buy. I did buy it before, but I was stopped out on this one before. I've drawn this reversal line. We're still below that reversal line. We came right up to the reversal line, and it looks like we've pulled back. Basically, what happened here, the earnings, it was up very, very strongly before earnings, and then it's pulled back. This is one thing, it's pulled back by 10%. So this is one thing why, if you're not up 10% coming into earnings, you've got to be super careful. As you can see, this is the 15-minute chart here. We came in today, and it moved all the way up until close, but after hours, they missed on earnings. And let's see, I kind of want to see what the situation, they had a very good, look at this. The sales were up 102%, but they took some charges apparently, and it looks like their profits were down. So it was punished. And the question is, it's got a 44 checklist. This is probably not going to be, at least for a while, this probably is not going to be a good stock. I don't know if you could put a bear trade on this one, not sure, but I would definitely look at this one potentially for putting some kind of bear trade on. I'm not doing it yet, but I'm just saying that may be RBLX. This one could fall further, so not a good number on that. Let's look at BABA. The Chinese stocks have not been doing as well as the other ones for quite a while now, and that is definitely the case with BABA. BABA has been very weak in terms of its price. It's trading below its 200-day line, so this is not viable right here at all. If you've been in the stock for a while, and you're down more than 7%, I'd really recommend closing your position on this one, because from what I'm seeing, at least in the near term, that's 6 months, I think this one is likely to go lower, and it's just not a good place. It's just not a good place to be right now. So I would not recommend Alibaba. This one has the problem, of course, with Alibaba is you have government intervention that may be a major issue with Alibaba. So I just think that you just really spare yourself. This might be a short, but really I think you've got to be careful on this one. And I just would not be a buyer of Alibaba. So my advice to you is is BABA is not viable. It just really isn't viable right now. and I think that you might get hurt if you were to buy this. So I just don't think this is viable. It's got a bad trend. The checklist is weak, 56. I mean, it's okay. You really want 60. You really want more, but it's weak. The technicals are weak. It's below its 200-day line. You just don't want to buy anything below the 200-day line. So with BABA, I think you gotta pass on it. I mean, that's really the only thing you can do. All right, let's take a look at some other things. Somebody was talking about Hood. Let's look at some oil stocks. Let's first start with the XLE. And what the XLE is, of course, is the Spider Select that covers the oil sector. There's so many stocks that are in E&P in the oil sector that it's just difficult to, this is a way that you can buy all of them sort of at once. Now, we did have a down day for oil today because of the peace rumors, and I hope it's peace rumors, in the Ukraine. Of course, next to Saudi Arabia, Russia is the largest exporter of oil in the world. So this did dampen the oil prices a little bit. All the oil stocks essentially were down, and the XLE was down as well. But interestingly enough, it came all the way down. It touched the 21-day line, and then boom, it came all the way back up. So I don't think oil is dead by any stretch of the imagination. I think it adjusted a little bit today, but I think that going into the middle part of the year, I think we can safely assume that many of the oil stocks are going to be in play, and I think that oil probably will be higher. So I don't think that in terms of the oil thing, we're probably going to see an abatement on the price. I think there was an adjustment here, but basically not. I don't think it's going to change anything with regards to that. Let's look at the rankings. Oil and gas is the number one group last week. I think it's number 6. You see if no, it's the Canadian. Okay, so yeah, I mean last week this was number 3. So let's pull that, show that chart here. Basically, the group last week essentially was number 3. This is the U.S. E&P and the international. So let's look at the U.S. E&Ps and kind of see. They all got hit today, but I think most of these are very, very strong. Let's look at the top stocks. Of course, there's Pioneer Natural Resources, Matador. That's one of the ones that I own. Have not been that impressed with it. Diamondback, EOG, and the others. So let's. I want to kind of look in on Matador, and I did buy this. I didn't buy this one quite right. It did pull back, but it looks like it's starting to trade up. It's even after hours, and hopefully, we're going to see that thing move a little bit. As you can see, I bought basically just a half position, and then we moved up, and then we pulled back. So, but we're still right at the, right above the 40-day line. So it's actually on the weekly chart. It's looking pretty good. Very volatile, of course, if you go over to the daily chart. But in terms of buying oils right now, I'd be a little bit circumspect. This has been a tremendous area for a while, and I already do have some exposure here, and I may want to get some more. But for right now, anyways, we are, I'm pretty much holding off on the oils. I'm fairly well stocked in the oil area, so I'm not personally buying anything here right now. Let's take a look at encourage your viewers to go. Definitely. By the way, everybody, if you're looking on TikTok, super easy to do. All you have to do is go to this address here, and you can see all the charts. Hopefully, I've been told that we're going to get a version of TikTok soon, which will allow me to show all my charts live. But for right now, I am showing those on YouTube. So that's kind of where I'm going to show them. All right, let's look at Roblox. Okay, Roblox. Roblox had earnings, and I think they were okay, but it did tank, and that is not a good thing. Let's go back to the earnings Yeah, I mean, and after hours is down 13%. So I really have to say with Roblox, they made their sales number, but they didn't make their profit number. So something to think about there as well. All right, TGT, of course, this is Target. TGT, let's look at that one. Target, it just continues its march downward. I wish this wasn't the case, but it's off again. It was down about a little over 0.5%, and then it's down after hours as well. It seems like it is staying below that 21-day line. Not necessarily a short, but I want to show you some things on this that are troubling on this chart. And the first thing I want to show you on this chart is the fact that money is moving out of this stock. And the reason I know that is because the 50-day line has dived below the 21-day line. So that indicates people are selling, taking profits, probably the big funds. Let's see how many funds really are in there, and that's really the key. There are 3,098 funds in this, and they have been pretty steady around this 3,000 mark. A lot of funds are in here, but I do believe that if we have more inflation, we're likely to see a pullback in Target just because people will be shopping less. So this could be somewhat vulnerable. I mean, who knows? I mean, retail is one of the. I'm not an expert in the retail area, but it does look like to me that in terms of these major discount chains, these are below 50% in the market. So money is starting to flow once again out of them. Of course, there's supply chain issues as well here that they're having, but not doing well. It was doing well prior to January. We were doing okay, and and up here basically last year in November we were doing great, but that's really when the whole market started to move lower. So right now, don't want to be owning. Probably don't want to be owning Target right now. That's the long and the short of it. All right. Okay. Let's look at AMD. We talked a little bit about AMD. Let's look at AMKR. Also in the semiconductor area, which is it's where the action is. That's all I can say. Even in the down market, you just can't discount this area. This is such a critical area industrially in the market. Definitely had a nice bounce. Did they have earnings? Yes, they had earnings, and the earnings were spectacular. Looks like their earnings per share up 100%. Look at that. This is another one that bears your attention. 20% profits each quarter. Boy, that's looking good. And look at those profit numbers. This over here is the sales. The sales have been going up 20% a quarter. Again, any stock that can go up 20% a quarter in sales is one you want to look at. And look at those profits. Usually the profits follow the sales. So if you can get the volume up, you get the profits up too. It's got very, very low PE ratio. Look at this. It's an 8 on the PE ratio. Now, I don't normally buy on PE ratios. It's not a major concern to me, but this one is just doing great. It's in Tempe, Arizona, which is basically next to the complex of many of the other big chip manufacturers. Of course, Intel's there, as well as Taiwan Semi. So a lot of fabs going on in the Phoenix, Gilbert, Chandler area. That's sort of the area where a lot of these are. But interesting company, doing very, very well, and the earnings are good. This is in a consolidation range. Normally, this would be the minimum place that I would buy it. It's above the 200-day line, but let's see kind of what the technicals look like on it. We're just barely above that 40-week line. Of course, we're on the weekly chart, so it's a 40-week line. On the daily chart, of course, it's a 200-day line, but we're up about 1.8% above that. You really don't want to buy below that, but I also want to see some more strength, so I would probably be waiting this one out, but it does look like this one has the potential. Right now, after hours at 24.15, looking pretty good here. It's very strong in terms of the intermediate swing here. 10-week, it's on the 10-week line, it's up 6.36% above the 10-week, and it's also above the 3-week line. So there is interest in the stock. Money is moving into the stock from the funds. We're definitely getting more and more funds in it. In March, there were 515, 503, and then we started to move 527, 544. So we're starting to see a lot of funds come into this, and this is looking good. So this one you definitely want to put on your radar. This is definitely a watch list. We could buy it here. This would be an early buy. If we did buy this when we're after earnings, so that we definitely could do that. So I would say that this is an early buy. This is an early buy on this stock. I wouldn't go in with more than about a half position on this one, but I definitely like it. I definitely like the action, and it's stacking up very, very well. Also, strong checklist. The only thing it's failing, of course, is that it's off of its all-time high by a little bit more than 15%, but that is something that could absolutely be remedied. It's been pretty volatile. I mean, way back here in 2001, it was a much more expensive stock, and then it's come down and it looks like it's making another run. But the relative strength of this line is above 80. So in all, I've given a lot of things here. In all, Adcore looks like it is an early buy. I wouldn't buy a full position in it, though. Be very, very careful about that. But I would consider possibly a half position. It does look very strong. All right, let's look at Upstart. Upstart is in one of the fintech stocks, and along with there's some other ones in here. This one has sort of been struggling as of late, but it's essentially it came out of the box at the IPO, looked very strong, and then it pulled back. Unfortunately, right now I just wouldn't buy Upstart because it is below that 200-day line with the 50-day below the 200. Not a good look here. Could it be bought? Well, it looks like it's coming up very, very nicely, but I'd be very careful about this one. It does look like, this is a dead cat bounce. It looks there probably was a lot of short interest on this one, and it does come up significantly. But I want to see more strength here. I really kind of want to see it confirm higher, but definitely I would watch. I would not buy this one. I would not buy this one here, but I would definitely watch list this to see if it can make it above the 200. So watch list and see if UPST can come above the 200-day moving average. And that moving average is basically at 185.99. So, at 185.99. So that's kind of going to be that's going to be the thing with it. I would basically, I would not buy this one right now, but I would definitely watch list this one to see if it can come above that black line here. Of course, that's the 200-day moving average. That's where I want to see it move above, and I want to see it be able to move about on there in strength, but it does look like it's starting to reverse higher. This is the reversal line, so it is starting to make its way up, but I wouldn't be a buyer on it. I just want to see if it can hold the line, because that is something that is very, very important. Well, we're getting, let's see, Roblox, let's see if we've got any more questions that I want to take here. Probably going to be, is now the time to buy Disney? Good question. Let's look at, for Gunter, let's look at the buy point on TSM, which is Taiwan Semi Manufacturing, TSMC. TSM, of course, is the symbol. TSM does have some political risk. And the question is, what is a good buy point on it? Well, the thing is, one thing good about TSM is that it's above the 200-day line. So that's definitely a good thing. It is also above this reversal line, which I'm going to reactivate here. So it is making a move above these lines. Now, let's take a look at the technical action on TSM. On the technical action, it's not bad. I mean, we're above the 200-day. We're above all of the lines. So that is looking very good. The checklist is decent here. Would I buy it at this level? Well, I do think that they are potentially doing very, very well. I mean, they had some good earnings here. Their sales have been very, very good, and so yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's going to probably move higher. The buy point on a cup base, stage 4 cup base, which is a relatively weak figure, is 142. Currently, we're at 124. So you could do an early buy here. I definitely think you could do an early buy here, but I would not go in with a full position because it is a little bit early. But I definitely think this is a potential early buy. Early buy. And really with the early buys, I don't like to make them any more than about a half of a full position. So what I mean by the full position, of course, is if you think of your portfolio like a pizza and divide it up into 8 slices, each slice is one full position. So you don't want to go into this if you go into Taiwan Semi, you don't want to go into it with more than about 6.25%. That's probably your max on that right now. But it does look like it has reversed and it is moving higher. You definitely want to move it as it's you want to buy it as it's moving up. So this might be a good opportunity. We're still below that buy point, but it does look, like it's good. It's a good company and it's got very good earnings. So that's something that is going to be rewarded in the future. All right. Opinion. Absolutely. Everything on this show, by the way, is opinion. So Nvidia goes down tomorrow. I think Nvidia is going to correct tomorrow. That is my guess. It definitely, saw some excellent numbers, but I do think it's going to pull back tomorrow. That's typically the way it'll move up and then it'll pull back and adjust probably to the 21-day line. My guess is that you're probably going to see it pull back maybe to about 252, 254 range. It's 266, but it's up in the after hours. But it's just going to continue going because the earnings were very, very strong for. They were very, very strong for Nvidia. So very good stock. All right, we're probably going to the last questions here. There we go. And this is a question. Hi Jim, what platforms let you set stop losses for after hours trading? That's a very, very good question. Here's the thing about stop losses in after hours trading. You can only set a limit order in after hours trading. You can't set a market stop in after hours trading. So that's one of the things about after hours trading is when you're trading after hours, you can only set limit orders. So you can set a limit order as a stop loss on TD Ameritrade, but you cannot set a market order. So that is something that is sort of difficult. You can only set a limit order on an after hours trade. Would you recommend puts on Roblox? Let's see. RBLX. This will probably be the last one. I usually don't just do naked puts, but because we do have the downside on it. Do I recommend that? Boy, you know what? It is looking like a shortable pattern. Let's go over here to the weekly. It is kind of looking like a shortable pattern here, but we do have this support. I don't know. Here's what I do recommend on it. This has got. You know what? I recommend an iron condor in this one. And I'm going to put this down, iron condor for Roblox for me. Because I do think this is volatile, but I think it's trading within a range. And the problem with this is that it could fall a lot further. There is this consolidation down. The pivot's about 103 up to, down to about 50. So this is a pretty big consolidation here. So this is a volatile stock. So I wouldn't recommend puts on this one, but you possibly could do an options trade on iron condor on this one because of its volatility. But it's a very volatile stock. But everybody seems to like it. Well, we're at the end of the show for today. Thank you, everybody, so much. Just wanted to put up here that we have this ready list that's available right now, and it's super easy to do. This is the February ready list. You can get it by going to this address on the screen, bit.ly/DTF0079. And if you're looking on TikTok, super easy. Just go to the profile, and it's one of the buttons on there, and you can get that. Also, alternatively, if you want to go just to www.Dallas Trading Floor, it's on there as well. So www.Dallas Trading Floor. Well, I'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I try to get going right about 4 and go through as many stocks as I can. If you're not already on the trade alert, super easy to do. Just go to www.Dallas Trading Floor, and that is where you can get on the action trade alerts. Let's see. Also need to ask everybody, especially on YouTube, to like the show. It gets it out to more people. We have over 100,000 people that watch us on various platforms. So the more you like, the more it gets out there to people everywhere. So thank you very, very much for that. I'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock Central Time, and I will be back at 4 o'clock Central Time. See you then, everybody. Happy trading, and do consider the free action trade alerts. Just go to the profile, click on the link, and first and last name and an email address. We'll get you right into the queue for that. So until tomorrow at 4, happy trading.